Hello and welcome to another episode of Fintech Focus TV with me, Toby, the first actually filmed in 2021. So happy New Year to everyone, and happy New Year to you, Sara Green Brodersen. How are you?
I'm good. Happy New Year to you too.
Listen, lovely to speak to you. I'm going to sort of give a little trade secret out here that we tried to do this last year, but fire alarms scuppered us midway through. So I know a little bit of the story so far of Canaree, and it's been fantastic to see companies gaining traction and doing some amazing things. You started the business in October 2019 officially. And then who was to know that sort of only months into it, you'd be faced with the turmoil that we've seen over the last year. But to do that and to be in the position you're in at the moment is extraordinary. I'd love to share that sort of story with you. But before we do that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? You've had one of these remarkable careers as an entrepreneur, and I'm fascinated by your sort of backstory. And I know Nadia's spoken to you about it as well on the podcast.
You did.
And I'm keen just to hear a little bit about that, and then about Canaree and the thoughts you've got behind it, and what Canaree is doing, and to really sort of focus on that traction in 2020 as well, and define the odds.
Yeah.
So the floor is yours.
The floor is fine. Yeah. So I mean, I come out of sort of an entrepreneurial background. I guess Canaree is my third company. I did a stint as a management consultant, which was great training, but absolutely horrible culture. So I sort of went back to starting companies, and this is probably not my last one either. But Canaree, in short, is really a software platform that helps companies understand their future finances better. So the product that's live now allows founders like myself to build up scenarios and forecasts to better understand really where you're going with your company. We try to be just as easy as Excel, but just as intelligent as you would have a financial advisor, but obviously a lot cheaper than that. So we do have this intelligence layer on top that basically analyzes the numbers that you put in, and from that we can give advice on where you're going, what should you be looking out for, and a lot of this, and the reason why I joined the team who originally started Canaree was a lot about my own experience as an entrepreneur, and not coming out of a financial background, but realizing how important it really is to understand your finances to execute well and to move your business forward.
I think that's probably, despite everything that happened last year, you're probably looking at something which has never been more important to understand those finances, right?
Yes.
And with such volatility, one of the key things I keep on hearing is about the difficulty for people to budget well, right?
Yes.
So you're looking at and on one side budget well, on the other side to forecast and manage cash flow.
Yeah.
Exactly. And managing cash flow has been something which has been incredibly difficult with with things moving and changing and as well. So perfect storm almost for the product, if not the people behind.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what how I think we should probably start with this. How COVID's helped with that business.
Yeah. So I think in terms of the stories that we hear from our customers is that a lot of them are looking at, well, if scenario A happens, then that's what we have to do. If scenario B happens, that's what we need to do, because everything has been so chaotic in many ways in terms of how much revenue can you generate, and what does your team look like, and where are you even working, and what are the costs associated to that. A lot of our customers have been working with different scenarios, and some have obviously done really well because COVID and working from home has a lot of opportunities as well. But a lot have also struggled and had to find extra capital in ways that they didn't have to before, and really dissect every single cost that they have in the company, and that's something that we can see have really helped motivate more companies to use the product. So in that sense, it's really helped.
And what sort of companies have been doing that? I mean, is it a product for all comers, or is there a specific market for you?
So right now we see, anyone can sign up. So we're not barring anyone, but the ones that are the most happy with the product tend to be early stage companies. So up to maybe 5 years old, they have up to 20 employees. We focus a lot on sort of the scalable type of businesses because we feel like they are underserved in the market of these type of products. So that could be e-commerce, it could be SaaS, fintech companies like ourselves as well. Yeah, and anywhere really. We currently have companies from 42 different countries. So there's no sort of geographic boundaries to
You can
to
see
who we
it
can
on
serve.
the map behind your head.
Yeah, I should have little
Slowly
pins.
clicking it off.
Yes, yeah,
Bit by bit. And with that, you know, you mentioned that sort of SME space, and you know, there's obviously been challenges and squeezes around that. And I'm never quite
yes,
sure whether it's better to be in times like this, and you know, having gone through, you know, the credit crunch and 2001 dot-com bubbles bursting. I've
yeah,
been in businesses of different sizes through each of those areas.
yeah,
I'm never quite sure if it benefits to be in the smaller category, the medium category, or the larger category, and where it sort of, you know, incubates, because there's different challenges for each part of it.
yes,
How are your SMEs dealing with that? And I guess this, you know, one of the pressures on them is investing in,
yes.
you know, software and tech and products and such like. What sort of challenges are you having with customers that, you know, in their confidence to buy at the moment?
So we can see that the companies that are doing really well are obviously the ones that can pivot or adapt really quickly, which I think is a good thing about being a small team and a small company. Obviously, we have had some of our customers fold just because they haven't been able to execute the service or the products that they've been selling, or that, you know, they had investments on the way in that then fell through because of COVID. But it hasn't been as many as we sort of expected. We've also seen the opposite, right? That companies have come out and actually been born during the first lockdown because they saw an opportunity and are doing really, really well. Yeah. So I think it depends on, you know, what you're doing as a business and how that relates to the pandemic.
I think that's a really interesting fact, isn't it? Because, you know, you're looking for the I think you know, your natural gait is to look for the negative in all this and what, you know, what can happen, yes, and the sort of pain factor. But I was saying this to, you know, to a few people, that last year I was really sort of thrilled actually with the robustness of businesses through that, and to see many of our customers really sort of, you know, in numerous instances double their business. I thought was extraordinary.
Yes.
And I think, you know, whilst people can get sort of head up on the tightness of the market, there's also a lot of people who've really garnered that and seen the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And I think to see you guys as a, you know, as a small business sort of really gain that traction over the course of the last year is obviously testament to that. What are the ingredients you think that have led to that for Canaree, and that other companies who are in that sort of startup mode at the moment might also be able to gain and glean from your experience? And look, I think that experience is really interesting because you haven't just done it once. This isn't your first rodeo.
Yeah.
You're there and you're looking at things, and you can take all that experience from, you know, from management consultancies, which I've always think is interesting, but also from your other startups. What are some of the things which you say, look, this is, you know, particularly as we go back into this, and you know, Boris last night saying that we're in another lockdown till full lockdown till mid-February. We don't know what's coming up. We don't know where that volatility is. But I bet that you're there and you're ready for it, and you're gonna put yourself into a good position again through that. What are some of the things that you're thinking about to make sure that happens?
So I would say the most important thing, based on my learnings previously and going through all of last year, is really resilience. And I think that's just sort of, entrepreneurs are born with a certain level of resilience, and I think the best entrepreneurs have that and grow that and enhance that throughout their journey as building a company. So trying to focus on that and knowing that you can go through it is really important. And then I'm so proud of our team as well for going through that. We all have so many challenges, whether it's, you know, having kids at home, being alone, not being able to visit family. So we all have bad days, but I'm so proud that we managed to get through it. And you know, going into lockdown 3 now, I think everyone yesterday and this morning have been sort of, we were just hoping that 2021 would be different. But you know, then it's okay. Let's take it easy today and just, you know, align ourselves, and it's okay to have a bad day, and then tomorrow we'll come back with full energy and just go through it. And yeah, I think, you know, resilience and trusting in the process that you can get through it, and focus on what's important and what's positive as well.
That resilience, I think, is you know, a key factor and a great trait of entrepreneurs, and you know, the ability to sort of come back again. And it will test a lot of people, you know, to have this as we you know, with the usual fun of New Year's Eves and big promises being delivered and all this sort of stuff, and 2020, you know, kicking goodbye to 2020 and then seeing 2021 sort of come back with
yes,
you might not have seen that.
But I think Yeah, but just building on what you're saying, I think, I was talking to a fellow founder the other day, and we were talking about how, in this generation, or even previous generations, there aren't many leaders that have gone through this kind of crisis and chaos, and leading a team and building a business through it is, I'm really hopeful and positive about the future for the leaders that come through this, and the amazing things that we can do because we built that resilience and have gone through that chaos. So I think there's hope.
Towards 100%. This for me is a very different lockdown.
Yeah.
We sat there before with no certainty around where it was. We don't know whether it was 10 days or 10 months it's turned out to be of where we were doing it, and the uncertainty of everyone, in customers, and there was that immediate sort of brakes being pulled across March, April, May of last year. And it wasn't really till June that people sort of started to unleash that throttle a little bit. Their heads around what was happening. This time we come into a situation where people are, normalized to what we've been doing. I was speaking to all of my team today, and the amount of people who've actually been hired or had physical face-to-face interviews which have resulted in the hire have been, minuscule over the course of the last. And so people are normalized to this sort of environment. So you've got the knowledge that this isn't unusual. You've got the fact that there is a vaccine and there is hope on the horizon about what's happening. I've got positive news in terms of some of the macroeconomics that we're looking at in terms of market resilience in the financial sector, in terms of governmental changes in the US, in terms of, for better or for worse, and wherever you sort of sit on it, the whole Brexit. But at least there's some sort of finality to all of that sort of thing. So if you park the bad news of yesterday, where there's this inconvenience factor, for people, and you look at it from a from a positive viewpoint, I think it remains a very, very exciting time for what we're going to look at. But I do think there's this sort of looming spectre of the individuals and the team, and I know that you were very proactive in looking after your team. You mentioned them before, and it's obviously a very core part, particularly in the startup, to get that right. Of looking to, and I think last time we were speaking about this, you used the words happy, healthy, and sane. Which are core ingredients, right? And I think most companies can just about, or most people can look after the first two. The second one is where we start to have a little bit more of an issue, or the third one with sane is where it starts to get a little bit more difficult. Tell us a little bit about what you did last time, and how you're looking to improve that this time out with the with the team, and what's working for you.
So obviously, as you say, last year in March, when everything happened, it was very chaotic because we didn't know what was going on. So I think that's where everyone felt most confused and most overwhelmed with everything. We had just hired, we basically doubled the team during February last year. So it was scary timing, and we just hired a new CTO to actually lead our product team as well. And so when March came, I actually had COVID for 2 weeks. So I was completely out and left everything to John, our CTO, to sort of, you have to deal with this because I'm, out, completely out. So when I came back, it felt like everyone had, taken their laptops, went home, and they were just getting on with it. So I think that comes back to the resilience and why I was so proud of the team. And then throughout, the summer, where there was various sort of tiers and lockdowns and how many people you could meet and so on, we've continued to work from home simply because we didn't have an office at the first lockdown. So that has been one thing that we had to learn to actually work together and understand what are the preferences of everyone. Where some are very happy with working from home because it gives more flexibility in terms of having a family. You don't have to commute. Some feel they're more efficient because they don't get those interruptions. And then there are some of the others that are, probably the more extroverts that really miss having the team around. So can we do anything to, check in with them more and keep an eye on how their mental health is actually doing? So it doesn't have
to do with that, because that's difficult, right? For some people, as you say, this is an absolute dream scenario, being able to lock yourself away and only tag in here and there and not have to. For some, it's been. I think there'll be a number of people who will look back on this year and say, do you know what, that was all right.
Yeah.
And as you say, for the more extroverted people, or as you say, people who are on their own or living, it can be very, very oppressive and difficult.
Yeah.
Tell me some of the things that you did to manage that situation and make it work for them.
Yeah, it's difficult because you don't have that many tools in your toolbox to help them see people when they're not allowed to. But we did do, a couple of social things that we could do online. And then it's just about, checking in with them. And is there any other ways that we can fulfill that sort of social element that they're missing? So are there online conferences that, we can encourage them to attend? But also things like, are you getting out of the house? Are you getting exercise? Are you sleeping well? So just basic things that might not fulfill you in terms of the social aspect, but then at least are you taking care of everything else in terms of your health, right? That also helps your mental health be stronger in a way, so that you can live for a few months without maybe seeing that many people.
How are they reacting to that? Because I think it's also one of those things there where you sort of push the sort of healthy lifestyle on people, and there are people there who are very accepting to that, and there are people there who are saying, not for me.
That's
a lot. What's the take on it? I mean, it seems to me that just listening in between what you're saying is it's been very personalized, and you're looking at everyone as individuals as opposed to a blanket. Here's the
yes.
I interviewed someone actually for us in the States who was working for a company who was getting more and more fed up with the forced fun, she called it, that they were doing in their office. And I think that's an interesting part, isn't it? To say, look, one person might love a Zoom quiz, the other person might be saying, do I have to?
Yes, exactly. And I think that's where you have to know your employees or your team really well. And so when we've had the fun things, there are some that have just listened into the call, but they haven't been part of it. And we've allowed them to do that. And some have loved it and want to, keep going for a couple more hours. So I think it's just allowing everyone to do what they feel they're comfortable and what they have energy to do that day. Yeah. And we've had some of the extroverts and myself included where actually today I just can't be bothered to speak to anyone. And then it's okay to have a day like that. So I think it's about, as a leader, you can have that conversation that makes the team member or the employee aware, where are they today? Yeah. And make them feel, and what do they actually need today? And how can you then help them, with the things that are possible within the, the legal and the restrictions, and say it's okay, no matter what you want to do. And so it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort, but I think you get happier team members from that, and thereby they're more efficient and loyal to the company as well.
And productivity, you've seen productivity from those people working for you as well?
Yes, yeah. I'm surprised how productive we've been. And I think, especially a product team enjoy not being disturbed by, probably people like me. I have to now disturb them by calling them, or I can't just shout over the tables or the desks. So yes, I think, the biggest thing is obviously the communication that then get lost because we're not in the same room. Yeah. So it's about sort of forcing. We have to have meetings in the diary just to check in, even though if there isn't a specific agenda, let's just check in and see how things are going. And there will always be, things that we can discuss or that we just need to check in on. So I think that's been a learning curve, but we're definitely getting better at it as well.
Yeah. And talk to me about your client as a small business. Winning customers in this time, I think, is always a challenge as well.
Yeah.
Tell us about how you've set sales up to sort of continue to thrive during COVID as well.
Yes. So we don't have a traditional sort of sales team. Currently, it's myself, and then we have a head of growth to really generate that inbound. It's about being active and visible. So a lot of what we do is social media related, and just talking about some of the challenges that we know our customers are facing. And I think that has resounded really well with new customers coming on board. They can absolutely see how we can help them and know that we understand because we're in the same situation as well.
Yeah.
And then obviously,
sorry to cut. I'm fascinated by that digital and inbound and the role of marketing that's been played recently. Yeah. We did a round table in the probably the mid phase of the pandemic last year, with two marketeers from the States and two from the UK who I think are doing some really great stuff. We had agency and then in-house and big company and small company and startup who were involved in that. And I think it was a very pronounced sort of shift, both in B2B and B2C, where the companies that sort of really got that right and really worked hard on their sort of inbound and adding value. And they weren't focused on selling, they were focused on adding value. To me, seemed to be the sort of logical sort of step from it. And I think that that seems to be what you. So talk to us about how that sort of came out and that empathy and what you were doing to stand out in a noisy social world.
I think it just comes because the company is born that way. We're started because we know the struggles that a lot of our customers are facing. And, my co-founders come out of, with the financial background, so they actually know what they're talking about, whereas I've sort of more learned by doing in terms of the financial aspects. And then it's, sitting down, listening to our customers. Obviously, in the early days when we were just starting out, we had a lot of conversations about, what would you like to see in this product? What are your biggest challenges in terms of managing your finances and so on? And I think, having those conversations and understanding what they're saying and providing value, I would say, well, in my last company, I actually did this, maybe that can help you. And great idea with that feature, I'll note that down. And if you build that relation, I think you create ambassadors as well. So we can see a lot of the companies, or it's individuals and the companies, obviously, that have signed up early on to the beta version are now promoting the product as well and coming back and are amazed of the progress that we made over the last few months as well. So in the beginning, it's really about fostering that relationship, and then you learn what resonates with more people, and you can sort of make it scalable and put it out there on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever works for your company. I think
that's the sort of what going back a bit. I think that's what Salesforce did particularly well, didn't it? They sort of built communities that sort of became their biggest ambassadors.
Yeah.
They'd hold events, and it was the sort of raving fans of using their product who then created the sort of incredible sort of momentum of sales that sort of really took them into, I remember when we were first starting up, they just were celebrating their, or maybe not, it was about 5-6 years ago, they were celebrating their first $1 billion quarter, and you think that's not a bad way for a company that started up in someone's bedroom with wires going through to the living room out there. Those sort of things. But it's exactly what you're talking about, the momentum of happy customers then recommending other customers, and it becomes the most compelling way for you to grow a business and a sales team. And that only happens when you have an incredible product, and it seems like you've been working really hard to make sure that product is fit for purpose and has a strong CTO and product team behind it that to happen.
Absolutely.
Where I think the sort of power of people is so important in this. If you've got great people, you will invariably have a great product that provides great value to people. If you've got average people, it generally tends to do a bad that has no value and then disappears, as logical as that sounds.
Yes.
So I want to move on to what's next, because I think this is a great time for reflection at the start. The 5th of January, I think today. Mm-hmm. What's on the resolution list for Canaree and for this year?
Yeah, we have scenario A and we have scenario B, and no, obviously I think we're expecting to be quite disrupted in terms of the first 3 to 6 months as well. So it is really difficult to plan, even for us, with all the available tools and having a great team. We're doing quite a lot on the product. Obviously we've been running for a while now and have some really good feedback. So product-wise, we're now making quite a lot of integrations. So it means everyone can keep an eye on their actuals through connecting to a bank account and so on. That will open up a lot more in terms of what we can do feature-wise and the advice we can build in. And then, so we're fundraising. So the next round will hopefully be close as well in not too long. Mm-hmm. And that means we have to expand the team as well.
Is that angels or?
No, so we've already raised angel money, and then next will basically be our seed round. So we're talking to seed stage funds at the moment. Yeah.
Tell me how that's going, because I've been speaking to various different people who are having, I guess, various different experiences of that. And speaking as we do to a lot of VCs and investors and people in that world,
Yeah.
there seems to be a decent appetite at the moment for the right products and the right investments. I think
Yes.
people are almost seeing it as the sort of opportunity before the storm.
Yes.
So I think if there's capital there and there's an opportunity and a good product, you can get in ahead of where valuations might rise, and it seems to be a good time to invest. You speak to other people and they're saying, right, okay, you need to. It's very, very difficult to get funding at the moment. You have to jump through many more hoops, which you'd understand, and I think would probably be anticipated. Talk us through your experience of fundraising, and look, I imagine you've done it a couple of times before, and seen that. What's different this time out?
So, I mean, we've been talking to investors all year just because of the nature of our product. They're really keen to understand what we're building because it fits in with their portfolio companies. So even though we haven't been actively fundraising, we've been in conversations. And I would say the good thing is that it's much easier to get people on a call because they're sitting at home and you have more time to actually do calls instead of running around the entire city to do these meetings. So that's really good. Getting to a decision, and that's based on conversations I've had with other founders who are fundraising, is more difficult. I think that conviction that they're looking for, which is, yes, they look at metrics, but inevitable, there will also be some gut feeling. And that's much harder when you sit like this on a Zoom call, I think. So time to decision and sort of closing around has extended. And so we've started quite early on talking to investors already last year, just because we didn't know how long it would actually take, even though we have a good product and we have good traction. But yeah, what does this crisis mean for investment? And as you say, I hear different analyses as well that are positive and negative. So we decided to start early on. Yeah.
Good. And it's been positive for you so far.
Yeah, I think the good thing is that a lot of these investors are sitting on the other side of the table from our customers, looking at the terrible forecasts and scenario and financial models that they see. So they definitely understand the product and can see the need. And that's a really good starting point for conversation.
It's a great starting point for a business, full stop, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So many fintechs in particular who are solving problems that don't necessarily need to be solved.
Yes. Yeah.
I think for me, the ones where you can actually have value to demonstrable problems. And I know this sounds really obvious, but the answers to demonstrable problems are so important.
Yeah.
I think when you're there and you're getting that sort of feedback from investors, it means that things are on the right track for sure.
Exactly.
I'm going to ask you to get your crystal ball out.
Okay.
And we're now, as I say, 2021. We're kicking it off. What's your view of what's going to happen this year? And there is the $1 million question, because as clearly shown yesterday, no one has a clue.
No.
But talking about trends in the marketplace and particularly around sort of financial technology, what would you be looking at to say that this is something I've got my eye on and I predict would be a strong year for?
Yeah. So the way I see it is that businesses and the entire market are driven by individuals and people. And I think a lot of people have revisited their idea of the ideal life during last year. And that means if you're starting a family, if you have a young family, why do you want to spend 4 hours in a commute, right? You could be doing something else that makes you more happy, or working from home. So I think definitely working from home will be a trend that we see, not because it's a necessity, but because you can.
Yeah.
And I think that will then, of course, further a lot more technologies that support that, and teams. And I mean, for us, I know we're thinking about, well, if we have to hire next time, we don't necessarily have to hire the most expensive engineers in London. If we can get people who are cheaper in Spain or Romania, and that will be, well, we'll see with Brexit, of course, how that holds up, but it might be cheaper. So I think that's an interesting space that will change not only our personal lives, but the companies as well, and how that's driven.
The offshore model is or nearshore, should I say, is probably the closest part of it, and I think it'd be very interesting to see places like I've heard a number of people point to Portugal and the talent density around there.
Yeah.
You've long seen Eastern Europe in that sort of conversation, Barcelona, as areas of where those sort of things come through. So I absolutely agree with you. I think look, things will naturally revert, and I don't think we'll be seeing complete remote worlds for forever, because I think, as you said before, it's great. There are things that you lose from having that, but I think that flexibility of seeing worlds where you have that hybrid model will be something which I think will generally benefit things from that. And I've been saying all the way through, and what we actually started this program to do is to shine some of the positives that come through from it, because there was so much negative news coming out all the way through. Speaking to, I think, 109 people now over recent years, over the year, on the show, to talk through what their experiences have been overwhelmingly and fundamentally positive, and the positives they're taking from this negative, I think, is inspiring, and it's great for me to start this year off talking to you, because it's another person who I think you can just have tremendous respect for and excitement about what's coming through, and that funding round sounds extraordinarily exciting. I wish you nothing other than huge luck with it, because I'm sure it will continue to go fantastically well for you. Anything you want to sign off with?
Well, I think there's a lot you can keep talking about this chaotic, but no, we're really excited about 2021 and what that has in store for the company and all of our team as well. So yeah, we can do this again in 2022 and see where we're at.
Well, I'm going to be fascinated to touch back in. One of the things I want to do this year is sort of touch in with various groups and people, and I'd love to have you in startup panels and talk through a few of these sort of things, and provide a platform for people to learn from people who are doing really well and great things as well. So look, I can't thank you enough for your time and sharing that wisdom, and it's great to have you.
Thank you.
I'm pleased that we were uninterrupted by the bar. I did hear a couple that came out my way.
Yeah. I did have a doorbell as well, but I think we managed.
You're well to not be shaken by it. So at least it wasn't blaring at fire alarms and smoke.
No.
So listen, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And thank you all for watching, and we'll see you soon on another episode of Fintech Focus TV. Thanks so much.